First, thank you, Taylor, for joining us.
Thanks for
Okay, on Goodreads, it showed me you've written 11 books,
Have
right?
I?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's a lot of
probably.
books. You're like 12. So I think that's really good. So
I
my
think.
question is, my first start is, do you have a favorite book?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm making
like
it
reading
like
or writing? I don't know which one would be harder.
Of your own.
Of
yeah,
my
of your
own.
own. That's what I meant. Of those 11.
I have favorite books for different reasons.
That's a
That's
good answer.
allowed. Yeah.
Like Drown in You is the easiest book I've ever read. Like, I don't know if it's because like Jake is a daddy and he was just like, I got this or what, but it like just like poured out of me. Like there wasn't a single writer's block. There wasn't like anything. It just like kept coming. And I was like, well, this is great because that usually doesn't happen. Um, I guess, I mean, there's always gonna like be a place in my heart for Carter and Travis and like their books. But sometimes I do wish I could go back and write their books again. But I
Really?
feel like I'll probably
Wow.
think that forever. Like with, like I feel like 10 years from now I'll want to like go back and rewrite Mason's book, where books, but like whereas right now like I'm like think that those are like I don't know how I wrote those.
Never rewrite those. Those are perfect.
Right? No, I really do. I like them. I like their dynamic and I like a lot of like I don't know. A lot of the writing I did in that book, I feel like that's weird for me to say, but I feel like I like look back at it and I'm like, shit, I wrote that. Like that was pretty good, Taylor. Like that was,
Yes, you should be proud of yourself for those books. They're
but
incredible.
I think, and maybe it's because here I'll give you, Louisa, the hockey book. Probably Breakaway is tied as one of the favorites just
Good
because
answer.
I like resonate with Pope so much and like I poured so much of my own like depression and experience into that book. Um and Hayden is like 100% my husband. Like he's such a good caretaker and I really liked getting to like write that and give Pope like a good caretaker like that. Like my husband, as a side note, when we were first dating, I found on his phone one time a tab on like how to be better for someone you love who has depression. And like I just kept thinking about that when I was writing Pope's book. Like I was just like, he needs someone like that. And like I feel like I'm so lucky to have someone like that. Like I don't know what I would do without that man, that poor man. I don't know why he puts up with me, but he's not going anywhere. He's stuck. So
Okay, but you didn't mention Solace because that was the answer.
oh, solid. How could I forget about well, but then that leads me to like
Sorry.
then like Huck and Ollie and then but like then like Fitz and Owen and then like people who are on my Patreon have gotten to see some Chris stuff from got to see Fitz and Chris and then I wrote a little like sidetrack of if Chris had survived and it was Fitz, Chris and Owen and so now I'm like, well, I want that,
Wow.
right? Multiverse.
Devastating. It was
I know.
devastating.
It
You
was, I'm
can do an
sorry.
alternative universe. Like they have those books. Those are good.
Right? I
Yeah.
would probably be down for that at some point. Like I really liked I love Chris. I don't know why it's so terrible of me to kill him. So terrible. Never again. I mean, I never even really met him and then like I don't know why I thought to myself like, wow, Taylor, you're not enough of a depressed human. Let's like write a short story about the guy you decided to kill off so that you can get to know him before you kill him.
Gosh.
That sounds like a fantastic idea.
Right up your alley.
Right up my alley.
Yep.
Yeah, I make myself cry too, if that makes my
Oh,
readers
do
feel
you really?
any better. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You love pain even for yourself.
I do. I do. Apparently. I don't know. I'm I'm a dark one.
What
Okay.
got you started writing?
Mm.
Oh, so I will not say this very often, that I was lucky to grow up in the UP because so for those who don't know, it's like the upper peninsula of Michigan. It's like the top part. And I grew up in just this like tiny little mining town where all of the mines are like shutting down. So there's really like not much going for it. You had to like drive. You had the lake like 20 minutes away, and you had a bowling alley that was open some nights, and like a movie theater that played three movies for like 3 months. And that was like it. Um, so definitely not like the most fun place to grow up, but it was really cool. They did this thing called Young Authors when we were in elementary school, and you got to write like a short story and illustrate it, and then they like bound it for you. And then we would all get together, like all the third and fourth and fifth graders, I think it was, around the whole UP would get together at the college up there, Northern Michigan, and you'd get to spend like 2 whole days sharing your book with people and like having like a little book conference. And you'd get like interviewed on your book and show it off. And it was like, and then they had like actual children's book authors come. And I just remember thinking that was really cool. And like, not no one ever mentioned like that that's not really something you can't do. Like no one was like, "Oh, this is a fun thing." Like it was, like they like explained it and we got to do it and everything and like no one once told me like, "Oh, but you can't actually be an author, honey." And like I was really lucky my parents were never not once were my parents ever like, "Well, maybe you should think of something more sensible." Or like they were always 100% like, "Hell yeah, you're going to be an author. You want to be an author? Be an author." So the first book I actually ever wrote for that as a third grader was about Bin Laden.
As one
And all the other
does.
kids wrote, right, about like unicorns and stuff like that and like had all these fun books, which is like good for them, right? Whoever whatever you want to write about. But like at the time when the teacher was like, you can write about whatever you want, the September 11 attacks were fresh and my dad was about to go off to war and I wanted to write about bin Laden. Like that's what was on my mind 24/7. I wasn't thinking about unicorns. I was thinking about the war. And so I wrote that. I think my mom or my dad still has that.
Oh, really?
The year after that, I wrote about our dog that died. So I've always been
My gosh.
really fun about
You
what I
love
do,
uplifting
right?
books.
I'm such a fun person. I
Thanks from the
promise.
start. I love it.
And that's how it's always been for me. Like writing has always been that outlet. And like I've talked before about being a sexual assault survivor myself, and like that went on for a few years with a family friend. And like that was my outlet. Like every short story I wrote, like the girl would be like, "Oh, about to win her like middle school basketball game," and then like, bam, plot twist, but she's also getting hurt at home, or she's also like, and so I was just always working that into it, I guess, as like I didn't think about it at the time that it would be a coping mechanism, but like that's just always like I was pretending in real life that everything was okay. Why would I write a book about everything being okay? Like that was the one safe place, I guess, for me. Not to like air out dirty laundry or call people out or anything at all. I love my whole family. I love everyone. We all do the best we can, but the way things were handled, I never got a chance to like get that story out the right way or like to get justice or anything like that. It was kind of swept under the rug. Like I never really got that outlet. And so I think like even to this day, a little bit, like I'm still trying to like give my characters a voice,
Mhm.
sort of,
Mhm.
which sucks for them as I'm thinking about it. Like, do you really have to like make them endure all this bad stuff too, Taylor? But I guess I'm a mean person. I don't know. But yeah, I guess it's just never really interested me to write books that don't deal with the hard stuff.
Bless.
I guess the biggest thing is, yeah, I started writing as an outlet, and it's still an outlet. And my favorite thing about writing and why I write such dark, heavy topics, one is because the characters in my head just are fucked up like I am. Like Bryce says, right? Like fucked up and happy aren't mutually exclusive. And I like being able to show that, and I like being able to give them like voices and exploring their stories. And my absolute, I mean, I love when any reader reaches out to me, but my absolute favorite are like readers that'll reach out and be like, I'm a survivor and I just read this and I feel so seen, or like someone I love is a survivor and I've never been able to like understand them the way I can now. And like that's so cool to me. That like blows my mind. Or like at the signing I had this last book signing in Canada, I had people coming up to me about Breakaway and how like someone in their family has depression, and like they've never read such an accurate description of that. Or like I had someone come up and say like that they have depression and like they've never seen it shown so well, and like they cried and then I cried and then my mom was at the book signing, so my mom was crying and like that was just really really cool to me. Like that was really cool.
You're
So I
having
guess
a
that
real
like,
impact on
yeah,
readers, the people who
yeah,
are reading your
which is
books.
huge for me because I've like, I've always battled that like helpless feeling of like, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out why. And so like, I don't know, it feels like I'm doing something other than just like screaming into the void, I guess. So, as fair warning, like the fluffy books aren't coming anytime soon. For
There'll
anyone
be
like
no
who was
rom-coms
like,
in
I'm
your
really
future.
hoping, yeah, there might be one like here or there, right? Like there might, I know I have a series that I'm hoping to get out, the first book next fall, because it'll be set at Christmas time.
Ooh.
And my husband was like, "Oh, so is it gonna be like a Hallmark movie, like cute Christmas book?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna have like really cute, like fuzzy vibes." And he's like, "Tell me about it." And I was like a minute into telling him about like the first MC, and he was like, "Oh, so another
It's a
one, huh?"
Taylor
And I was
Christmas
like, "No."
book.
I was like, "But it's at Christmas time." And he was like, "Yay, depressing at Christmas."
Now I really want to read this Christmas book.
Right? I know.
Is it a whole
Sorry.
new
I wanted to
series?
get it out this year, but it didn't. Nothing worked like it was supposed to. No one
We're
cooperated.
patient. We can wait.
I want more of Feel Something.
Yes, I need to write more of Feel Something. They were supposed to not be that emotional. This is what happens to me, people. Okay, I try. Like Feel Something was supposed to just be really sexy and fun. And then like it just kind of like got out of hand, and now I'm like, people, get it together. You're supposed to just be enjoying your bodies. What are you doing? But I have more Feel Something. I was like, Hunter wasn't even supposed to come back. Like, it was only supposed to ever be Mason and Nolan. And then, like,
It couldn't be.
Hunter
No.
met Mason, and Mason pointed the gun at Hunter, and Hunter was like, yeah, that one.
Yep.
And I was like, Hunter, you're a side character. And he's like, nope, that one. And I was like, that one's looking for Hunter. And he's like, there's two of them. I'll take them both. I was like, okay, I guess. But it worked out. I love them, right? So I guess they know better than I do. Just like Bryce and Matt were supposed to be together. They were going to be like,
That's not happening.
no, no, no. Matt was like, ew. And Bryce was like, no. And
No,
Keith
thank
was
you.
like, no. I've been watching that one for a while. And I was like, all right, have at him.
I am still spooked by the Patreon Kellen and Keith's little short. Spooked completely.
I liked writing that. I like Kellen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Kellen,
I
for
can't
those
do
not on Patreon, Kellen and Keats are brothers, and we are in for some shit. We are in for
there.
it.
Yes.
Yay.
People will meet Kellen in this next book. Um, we will meet Kellen sort of, not on page, in chapter 1 of this next book.
Oh, geez.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And I'll say
Okay.
that Ace has been keeping some secrets of his own.
Of course.
How many books are you writing at the same time?
Oh my God.
Because I'm like, I could not keep it all straight.
Too many. Yeah. Well, and it usually works. So like I have ADHD, so I have a hard time. And then I'm also like a mood writer, just like I'm a mood reader. So it helps sometimes to have like, so I'll have like my Patreon short stories that I can just kind of go to when I get like a quick idea or when I'm like trying to get juices flowing. And then I usually have like a survivor book going and then another book going. But then I get ideas, right? And then I like write 7,000 words of like a book idea. And then I'm like, no one wants this book right now, Taylor, though. Like, this isn't the book that people are waiting for. Go back to this book. And then I was supposed to do season 2 of the Games We Play hockey series.
Yeah, you were.
So I have Jules' book, like 70% written, sitting on my computer. I know. I'm so sorry. That will come out, I promise. I'm already starting to feel like I've already caught myself watching hockey again this year.
Yay.
So I've been, I just had to step away from the hockey world for a little bit. But like, it's already like roping me back in. It's like, are you sure you don't need it so much, do you? Um, so that book will probably come out on its own in this next year at some point because it's so close to being done.
Nice.
And then the Christmas book has been like kind of, I've been writing it for a couple of years, always around Christmas time. I'm always like, oh, I'm like in the mood for this book. I've got to write some of this book. But I have so many characters and so many books and stories. Like all of Hunter's friends are getting a spin-off series.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to write those. I still need to write Max and Ronan's book. That's got like 15,000 words on it though. Yeah.
Since when you first started Monstrous series, did you
Yeah.
always know who was going to be the head? Because we still don't know who the
I
head
did
is.
always know who was going to be the head. Yes.
It hasn't like switched.
It
It's
has
always
not switched.
okay.
No.
Okay.
I've found theories funny. Very funny. Some theories are funny. Some theories are like, ooh, you're
Oh,
pretty, right?
has
Yeah.
anyone figured it out? Or is that giving
That
too
might
much
give it away.
to tell us that somebody knows?
You know what? So I'll say it, and I'm gonna say this, and people are gonna like hurry over to my Patreon probably. I've been so I need to post like work in progress chapters of Matt and Ace's book, and my husband makes fun of me. I just need to let go of the fact that people are gonna know who the head is, and I need to let go of the fact that like people are gonna know probably before the actual book comes out because patrons are gonna know, and like I'm not gonna make them all sign like non-disclosure agreements or something ridiculous, right? That, right? Like the book will be out in a couple months. Just, if it gets out before the release day, it gets out. But Ace knows who the head is, so you'll find out who the head is. Um,
Well, this just makes me want to read it more, so.
right? Well, there you go.
Yeah.
No, but yes, everyone will know who the head is very soon, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what people think of that and to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will give this no.
If
Tell
you
us,
give us hints, I'm gonna be like combing all the books tonight. So maybe
Right?
maybe
I know.
you'll figure it out and tell us.
Right? I know. I had it ready. Yeah.
I'll literally never guess, so you can tell me whatever you want and I will not put it together.
I'll say if you haven't been, I see that gives it away. Yeah.
I don't want no, I want to be surprised.
99% of my readers haven't met him. I'll say that.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
I'll say that.
Okay, I have to write that down.
And then I know we all have a bunch of questions. Will there be, so this is all, there were a lot of Monstrous Deeds questions, of course.
Yes.
Will there be any other daddy boy pairings in these spin-offs? And obviously you are welcome to say you can't answer these questions, but this is
Yeah,
what you
no, this is not in the main books that are left in the Monstrous Deeds or Monstrous Survivors, as far as I know, right? They don't listen to me.
True.
So I will say that as far as Matt and Ace and Keats and Bryce are concerned, there's no daddy dynamic going on there. Though I am picturing Bryce's reaction to Keats trying to tell him that he would want to be his daddy, and it's kind of like so priceless that that might have to be like an outtake.
Perverted daddy.
Make sure there's no
Right?
knife nearby when he
Like,
says
right? Bryce would be like, honey, if anyone's going to be anyone's daddy. I love him so much. He's such a he's featured pretty prominently in Matt's book. And I've that's made it almost more dangerous because then all I want to do is write him and Keats too at the same time. But the spin-off books of Hunter's Friends will have a daddy pairing for sure. Carlos and Liam,
Hmm.
who have kind of been hinted at a little bit.
Mhm.
And then others. I I definitely am not done like writing that dynamic by any means, but any of the Monstrous Survivors characters in particular aren't planned to be.
Okay.
They might surprise me, but they're not planned.
Okay. Another reader question. Who is Mason's number one fan? And I don't know how you answer that with one person.
Yeah.
I plead the fifth,
Mhm.
or I just cheat and say that he has multiple number one fans because that sad boy deserves all the hugs.
I am his
So,
number one fan. Everyone else
right?
go away.
Right? I mean, really,
Club.
Hunter and Nolan probably fight for it, but
Yeah.
everyone else can fight them if they want.
Okay. Yeah. How did you do the research about human trafficking? Like, how did you even begin?
Even though I had parents that were always like, you can be a writer, you can be anything you want to be, whatever. I got pregnant in college. And so for like a hot minute, I was like, oh shit, maybe not. I was like, maybe I should do something a little more practical, right? Like I have this like tiny human being to keep alive, not just myself. And so I switched to social work for about a year. And the school I was going to actually had a program where you could do like a 1 year master's, and one of the specializations after I graduated would have been working with human trafficking survivors. And so I got to do, I like put my interest in for that program, and I got to do like a 2 week interning thing at like an intake place in Lansing. And that was really, I don't, not cool. Cool isn't the right word, but it was very like eye-opening and really valuable. And it was also like it was just so interesting, like how media gets some of it like so right actually, and then like in other ways media gets it so wrong. And I remember like sitting there and thinking like some of the stuff they were teaching me of like signs and what to look for and like stuff like that. I was just like mind blown that no one had ever taught me that before. I always get, as a side note, I'm gonna keep bringing up my husband because he just gives me shit all the time. But he'll always tell me like he always knows when we go to like a gas station or something on a road trip and we get back in the car if they have like the signs in there like
Mhm.
are you a human trafficking victim? This is what you can do. Like, talk to the register or whatever. And he'll be like, did you see? And I'll be like, I did. He'll be like, I figured you were excited. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, that's such a neat. But so that's where it all started, kind of. And then for one of the social work classes, we had to watch a documentary. I think it's on Amazon. But it was about the Operation Tucson, which is this, I think he used to be Homeland Security or FBI. I can't remember now. I feel bad. Um, but he got so fed up with all the red tape with trafficking and trying to like do rescues and stuff that he just quit the military and like the government and went private. And he teamed up with like a bunch of like ex-Delta guys and Rangers and stuff, and like a billionaire friend of his, and they did this like sting operation where they went undercover, and like the documentary is really hard to watch if you watch it. Like there's some body cam footage of them undercover, like having awful conversations with other men about like what have you done? What's your favorite thing? Like all this gross stuff. But it was one of those things where one, it was like it should have been a Hollywood. They actually have made it into a movie, but it sounded like it should have been a Hollywood movie at the time. And like as fascinating as it all was, I just kept thinking like, how must that have like screwed up their heads? Like especially watching that body cam footage, I can like see it in my head, and they're on this boat and they're just discussing these despicable things about children and girls and boys and just all of these things so casually. They're smoking cigars and drinking, and like what, like they were only there for a couple days to like get things in place, and like what must that do to someone to like have to do that long term? And like that's when I started thinking about Travis. um and then I thought more about Travis, and I was like, well, what would that do to someone? And then like what if they got caught? And then I started thinking about like Mason and Carter, and that kind of like snowballed from there. But I did even more research after that. I've read memoirs, I've watched documentaries, I've talked to other survivors of, not other survivors, I'm not a survivor of trafficking, to survivors of trafficking for the most recent books, because I've had survivors reach out to me after reading the original trilogy, which is, cool is not the word again, but cool for lack of a better word, and telling me like how great they were and how they made them feel seen, and they've been like willing to have conversations with me, and so I've kind of taken some of that into like my newer books too. Um but yeah, just a lot of reading, a lot of blogs. I love, for anything, not just human trafficking, but like for any, like even with depression, when I was writing Breakaway, like even though I experienced depression, like I still read a bunch of other personal blogs of other people that have depression, just because I like hearing it like in their own voice, how it feels and how it impacts them, and like it affects everyone differently. So I guess just all of that. And I'm also like a really dangerously empathetic person, where like I feel what everyone else feels, and like stories stick with me. So like pretty much any story I've ever heard, or trial, or like group therapy that I've gone to as a survivor myself, or like anything, like all of that stuff really sticks with me, and I guess ends up being research in the back of my mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it shows. It shows in the books for
You
sure.
can
I hope
tell.
so.
Yeah,
I hope
you
Yes.
can
so.
definitely tell.
My biggest thing about like writing content like that, like one, yes, I write it for myself as a coping mechanism, but like on the other hand, I've always been like really, I've made sure to be really aware of like the heaviness of that I'm putting that content out into the world, and like I've never taken that lightly.
Hmm.
I've always wanted to do
Mhm.
survivors justice. Same with like any like military trauma I write about, or like anything military. I'm really, I mean, I have my own background, and I've asked like my dad questions before, and obviously he's told stories growing up. We're a really close family, so like I've known a lot of his experiences, and my husband has experience as ex-military, and so like I'm just really, I mean, I feel like authenticity is important no matter what, but like especially when you're putting your characters and your readers through like such hard times, I feel like the least you can do is like do it
Mhm.
justice, you know?
Yeah.
Um, Now I feel like I'm on like a high horse right now. I'll get off my high horse. I
You're
don't
doing
know. I
great.
ramble. I warned you guys about my rambling. But yes,
No, it's all good.
that's
Um,
my research process, I guess.
Do you know about when you think Matt and Ace's book might come out?
Um, yeah, kind of. I'm shooting for January,
Oh, that's
but
quick.
I'm not
Ooh, that's
making any
soon.
promises. Yes. I've finally managed to get my head above water from this like most recent bout of depression. And I've been writing like crazy. But of course, now we're like going into the holidays,
Mhm.
and my daughter's about to start basketball, so she'll have practice weeknights and games on the weekends. And so it's really just going to depend on how fast I can get it out. But hopefully, January.
I love it.
I will say, as a side note, um, one thing that's definitely coming out like early spring is some audiobooks.
Which books? Oh my gosh.
That's exciting.
Drop that fun fact. I do
Oh
have
my
at
gosh,
least something on the
amazing.
horizon for sure.
Woo!
Yeah. So the trilogy is going to be audiobooks.
Oh my God. Do
I'm so
now I
excited.
have questions. Do you
I'm
have
so excited.
narrators?
So Zachary Zaba?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I think I didn't plan on announcing that, so I should, but you know who I'm talking about, so I didn't, yeah.
Yes, I know
He's gonna do
exactly
it.
what you're talking about. He did Mayhem that I was.
Yes, and I'm
Yes.
so excited. I already got like the voice clip from him,
He's so
and
good.
he's so good, and
He's
it
so
was
good.
so weird. I wanted to like hide under my bed, like listening to it. It was like I felt it, I don't can't even explain why. It was like so cool and like so weird, but then like also there was like a moment where he was like narrating like a sexier scene and I was like blushing like I don't like a virgin, but I wrote that scene and he was reading it and it was like so cool but so weird. I don't It's gonna be an experience, but I'm really excited. I'm
That's
so excited.
amazing.
So that's coming out if nothing else.
Wells and Jax, get it? You think are they speaking to you? They gonna get something?
Oh, definitely. Yes. Wells and Jax. They will
Okay.
not be the first book of the spin-off series, because I'm a terrible person and they're actually gonna have a breakup and they're gonna be like a second chance
Second chance. I
moment.
love second chance. That's
Wait,
fine.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
we're second chance people.
Jax is a little too young right now and a little too he's like this eager college kid puppy. And
You need to
Wells is
harden them up first.
yes, well, Wells is gonna be this idiot who thinks he knows what's best, right? And is gonna like let Jax go. And even as I'm thinking about it, it's gonna be so angsty and lovely. But the
Ready to
book before
cry.
that will no, I don't know what I'm talking about. I was gonna say will be fluffier to make up for the angst, but it probably won't
But
be. So I'm just
there's
ignoring it.
yeah. Yeah. I
It's
It'll
mean,
you.
probably
We
be
know you.
weird, right? I know. I don't know.
and there was one question for the Veterans of Collinburg series
Which is
asking
my favorite.
Oh, I love that.
I
That
know
they don't get enough love.
there's just one
Survivor's kind of
question.
like shot off, and I miss the Callenberg boys so bad. But I do plan on. I actually think is this the question about if there will be more Abel and Ash?
yes.
Yeah. So I
Mhm.
don't think Ash and Abel will ever get a second book. Never say never, but
Mhm.
I don't have anything planned right now. But I do have planned a crossover book
Ooh.
where all the Kallenberg boys and all the monstrous guys have to work together
Oh,
um for a reason, and that's going to be chaotic and awesome, and I'm hoping to write at least one or two chapters from each perspective, but that might be more than I can chew. I'm not sure yet. But you will definitely get Ash's perspective. You'll definitely get a lot of any of the operatives. I said that weird. Operatives perspectives. Um
I just want to say that Abel does not need to experience any more trauma. Just
well,
he
have
no.
won't.
No.
He
just
won't, I promise. No one
like protect
in
him.
the core group of guys will get kidnapped or
Okay.
messed with
Okay.
or
Good.
anything. It'll be a completely new character that is kind of tied in to Bryce, actually.
Okay.
Yes. Bryce isn't Bryce is just gonna kind of waltz into Keats's life and be like, so this is what's up. You're gonna teach me how to do this, this, and that, and then I'm gonna go like F some shit up. And then that's gonna kind of their book is gonna kind of segue into like the reason for the novella. But I promise Bryce isn't hurt. There's no
Okay. Okay.
just some new person that'll probably end up giving a book at this rate when I
Love it.
shouldn't. I don't know. I feel like I should just stop creating side characters because
No, never. No.
No,
they
No.
stay in their
no,
lane.
Keep
I know.
going.
please don't.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Either.
Okay.
I'm still a little mind blown. I'm a professional author, so
I want to know if your husband reads your books.
he doesn't. He's going to listen to the audiobooks.
Okay.
Oh boy.
He between his ADHD and he's got some pretty bad dyslexia. Books like frustrate him so much. But he is excited for the audiobooks, and I will say that I talked to him enough that he could probably talk to you about my books, and you would never know he read that. He didn't read them.
Okay.
He knows all the details.
He hears, yeah, I rant to him about my characters all the time. And sometimes I like talk things out with him too, with them, but 90% of the time I'm just bitching about my characters to him. So he knows all about them.
I love that.
Okay. So
Oh,
breakaway.
wait.
Yeah.
For Kallenberg, I can't believe I have at some point in my life, I don't know how I'm ever gonna finish all of these books. I know I'm younger than I feel like in my head, but still. There's gonna be a Kallenberg Next Generation.
Oh,
So Ash and Abel and the others will be in that too. The first book is gonna be Huck and Ollie's kid with Fitz and Owen's kid.
oh my gosh.
Nice. Okay, that will be. I don't know how you're gonna write all these books.
I
Yeah.
don't know, but that one has like 7,000 words too already.
Wow.
So maybe I'll drop a little bit of on Patreon at some point just to like
Get people
get people excited for a book that I
hyped up.
probably won't have time to write for like another 3 or 4 years, but whatever.
So breakaway. It was part of a bigger series. I'm not going to talk about the series because I think everybody knows how I feel about that series, other than your book and cherry picking. I'm just like, I had no expectations. And then I read that book and I cannot tell you how good that book is. Like, it is so, I wish everybody would read it. I really, like, I cannot describe how good it is. Like, it really is. Like, the characters are full flesh, like, they're fleshed out. Like, to me, they're human beings that I know. I would watch, like, you know what I mean? Anyway.
I do. Yeah.
So my question is,
I love hearing that so much because sometimes I want to like hold up that book and just be like, I wrote this too. I know they're not monstrous survivors, but I wrote this too.
and I'm going to tell you, I don't understand. People love hockey romances. Read the book. Okay.
I know. I do. I'm working on a new cover right now. I make all my own covers except for that book because not that there's anything wrong with that cover. But they all needed to match the like, like with any of
The
the series
style.
that
Yeah.
the multi-author series do. And so I'm hoping that with my new cover and kind of like pushing it more as a standalone, obviously I'll still mention the series because it's still technically part of that series. But I talked with the other authors and everyone's okay with me kind of like pushing it more as a standalone and re-releasing it. And I'm hoping that that will like push it a little bit because I do. And it's really the only book that can stand on its own right now. I mean, I've written a couple of like I tried to write Drown in You as a standalone, and I have had people just read Drown in You and say that they weren't like lost or anything. And Stay and Solace are technically supposed to be able to be read as standalones too. But like that book is definitely a standalone. Like there's nothing you're possibly missing. So I feel like that's the best book to recommend to people when they're like, where should I start? And I've been recommending it, but I do feel like no one ever talks about it. So it's just kind of like this like little floating book.
I
Awesome.
talked about it.
Louisa definitely talks about it. I try to
Good.
talk
Good.
about it.
Good.
I love
You,
that book.
I love
It's in my underrated hockey books. Read
It
it.
is totally
it.
underrated.
Is.
It's a beautiful, beautiful book. So a couple things. The kink in it, because there is definitely the depression rap, which is honestly it's the best depression rap. I don't want to spoil anything, but and it's the most
Yeah.
realistic. Like I just need people to read it. It's a fantastic book. Anyway,
I
like
love.
I love
Thank
the
you.
accuracy and the fact that you did not like just have him take a magic pill and he was okay, right? Just
Right, because that's not how it actually is, right? And like if I'm gonna show like the grittiness of that journey, like I wanted to do, like he's gonna be fighting his depression for the rest of his life. And like the pills that he's on now, I think on Patreon stories, like he's had some more like medication updates. And one of the Patreon stories I had to kind of introduce Jules and his guy that will be for their book is a Halloween party, and it mentions like that Pope can't drink on the new meds that he's on, and like just like all those little things. I like that like other people pick up on that because yeah, I like to add little details like that.
I just think it makes it way more realistic. So the question I have, there is some kink in it.
There is. I didn't plan for that
I
either.
was not expecting it.
Boys have minds of their own.
I know. That's where I was going. Like, how did you know that was what? So, do you plan your books, or do you just like the characters speak to you? And it just
Plotter or pantser?
yes,
I like to pretend I'm a plotter. I don't usually stick to the plot that I have. I also, my books don't often come to me like in a neat row. Um, a lot of times like a scene will pop into my head and I have no idea where that scene is going to fit into the book, but I write it and like leave it kind of on its own. And I think as much of a pain in the ass as that is sometimes, because then I have to figure out where that goes and I have to like, later on edit that scene so that it like fits a little more into what has happened or whatever. But that helps a lot too because like the more of those little scenes I write, the like more realistic and like real the characters feel to me. Like I feel like I'm getting to know them as I write all those scenes. And so then like even when I'm at the beginning, I have a lot of those scenes under my belt usually by then. Um but I do it every time. My husband makes fun of me. I will get like ready to like sit down and start on a new book and I'll do a board, a wipe off board. I actually have one up in my bedroom right now for Matt and Ace's book. And I'll do like post-it notes with like timeline and this should happen and then this should happen and then I'll do like on marker on the sides like at this point matches with like I don't know 40% into Drown in You. So like where are Matt and Ace at that point, so that like all the books the timelines match
Oh,
up.
because they're parallel timelines.
Right, which is I keep telling myself I'm not going to do ever again, like after
That's
the
so
Survivor
hard.
book, because it's so hard. But it's also so much fun because like I can drop all those little hints
And
in
you
like
do the same
books
scene
of
from
like
different
yes,
POVs.
and
Yeah, that's cool.
I love that. I love in particular just as a I'm getting off track again, but like I really liked writing Mason's two books because he was the bad guy until his two books, right? Like everyone hated Mason and like how could he do that to Carter? And it was kind of cool at the same time because me and my sister have been taking this like adulthood journey of like actually communicating and like being open about our feelings and our past and like seeing therapists look at us being healthy and stuff. Shout out to you, Kai. Um, but there's a lot we've talked about of our childhoods that like the same thing happened to us, but we viewed it in completely different ways. And like to see her perspective on things and to see where she was coming from and to for her to see where I was coming from, that led a lot into like how I wrote Mason's book and getting to like explore Mason and Carter's dynamic and getting to explore how like it's really easy to make like it was really easy for me sometimes to make my sister into the villain because a lot of times due to circumstances she had to step into the parenting role for me and like Mason had to step in to maybe not the parenting role for Carter but like Carter's life was on the line which was even like
Mhm.
more dramatic right and like so he had to make tough decisions and how that affected them and that was really cool to explore and I wouldn't be able to do that if like with the parallel timelines, right? And like
Mhm.
I think that like the whole like head secret and some stuff that'll be coming out about like Ace and Keats will be like even cooler because of the parallel timelines. And I know if people that like go back, like when they finish the newest book, will go back and read the other books and be like, oh my God, this is actually what was happening and stuff. But oh my God, is it a nightmare? Like logistically to keep track of all of that. It's like but I do these wipe off boards and I use like that part of it to try to keep like the timelines in check, but everything else is like out the window. I could go up to that wipe off board right now and there's probably like 4 sticky notes that actually made it into the book and the rest of them, like no, they didn't actually feel like doing that. Sorry.
Oops.
Okay, cool. So I'm not much of a plotter.
So
I kind
back
of
to it.
just it's
Did
all just kind of
did
like
you
vibes.
so did you plan the kink?
I did not. No.
Okay.
Oh,
I could see
actually, I have breakaway right here. I'm trying to think of like the first time that
it's
even
when
like but it's like it's a good boy, right? Isn't it? Or like a
he's a good boy, yeah. Well, and
yeah.
then he likes to be and then he likes to boss him around. And he tells him in the very first scene when he goes to the hotel room. Remember? I
He
love
does.
this.
Yes,
Yes.
I remember.
He says, remember, he's
Do
like,
you, do you remember it?
like,
Your
like
own book.
outside of you can be kind of in charge, you can be involved, but like in the
But
bedroom,
like when we're in
I'm in
here,
charge.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
don't
think
have,
a lot of that was just how their characters formed, you know? I think, I mean, I don't know. I it just kind of it sounds so stupid, but like sometimes I'm just writing and until I've written it and I'm like reading it back, I'm like, oh, okay. Like that's where we're
Mm.
going. All right. No one consulted me, but sure, why not? Like, and that was definitely one of those things. I actually expected, when I was originally going into their book, I was expecting Pope to be the top. And in the like plot, yeah, I know.
oh, no,
Because
no,
like
no,
in the
no,
plot
no.
notes, if I went back, there's somewhere I'm sure on one of my docs, but I do remember if I went back that like that was going to be a thing for him, like how he was going to be a little more dominant and toppy, and like how can I trust myself to like take control of that when like I'm having really bad days, you know? And like that was going to be kind of like a mental tug of war in his head of like, well, I don't really want to do this today, but like he wants to, and like he feels like
Yeah.
he have to because he's the top, and he's like, that's the manly. Like it was gonna be a lot more of a fight with his like masculinity and his depression and like pushing through and toughening it out and stuff, and none of that really made it into his book.
None of
Which
that.
definitely no, like it was really it ended up masculinity ended up playing like very very little in his book at all. He was supposed to like spiral when he found out that like oh I'm having like I'm turns out I'm bisexual and he was like oh cool but shit I still can't tell him I have depression so now what like it's like oh cool right and like Jules
Oh,
wasn't Jules wasn't meant to be bisexual either or was he meant to have his own book but he was just like oh yeah I fuck around with a guy on the Devils when I get the chance. And I was like, do you, Jules? Who?
So that's the question. So I know
Yeah.
you can't give too much because you're only at 70%, but could you like give me like some tropes or some hints? Like what? Because
Oh,
is like the best side character. He deserves a book. He needs a book. We all love him.
I love Jewel so
I
much.
love him so much.
Yeah.
I mean, he read the book and he was like the most supportive friend, and he was there for him. Like it was so good. Anyway, so I just needed. I like. Is it going to be like second chance? Is it like friends to lovers? Is it enemies? Like, give me something.
It's kind of second chancey, but nothing's ever stopped for it to be second chancey. So it's
Okay.
kind of like a friends with benefits
Okay.
ongoing type thing. Sometimes it's more hot and heavy, other times. So Jules' character that works opposite him is very closeted and very like buckled down. He has issues with masculinity and has daddy issues and has like his dad always told him like you're not going to be able to be like you pick one or the other. Like are you going to be gay or are you going to be an NHL player? And he picks hockey and then he gets sent down. How they meet is he gets sent down because of an injury to the oh my god, why can't I think of this the storm, right? Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, my head. He gets sent down to the storm while he's taking care of an injury and he meets Jules, who is Jules, right? Like just little happy sunshine guy, and it spirals from there over the years. Um, so it's kind of like I don't know, the closest thing I guess I could think of would sort of be like heated rivalry vibes
Ooh.
for
Oh,
Rachel
none
Reed,
of us
right?
like that.
Like
No.
it's gonna cover
Oh, tell me
years.
more.
Will not be that good. Okay, let's like set our bar a little lower, but that same kind of premise of like over the years this thing has been brewing and kind of like
Mhm.
trying to figure out like does this end or does this have a future or whatever. And Pope moving to the Devils is gonna obviously make it more of a Jules is going to be around a lot more in the other MC's life, and he's going to have to figure that out.
I'm dying, dying.
I
I'm
know.
sold.
I know. I know. Now I feel like I'm gonna like get off this call and want to write that book. And it's like, Taylor,
Feel free. Feel
I
free.
hope we're inspiring you.
you
Yes.
are. No, don't. It's been terrible. It's been like it's so hard when your writer's blocked for so long and then like the block just all of a sudden like comes undone, but then you still have to like do real life stuff too. Like,
Yeah.
why? Why?
So it's 70%, you think next spring, and
Yeah.
arcs will go out to me tomorrow, right? Yeah.
We'll come to an arrangement.
Okay. I am legit. You need to know I'm dying. I'm like dying. Okay, I will
I
follow
love
up and then I'm done. I promise. Because okay, so you say you're watching a little bit of hockey. I don't know your team.
oh. Yeah.
I'll give you a team if you need one. I'm, I,
I'm so I so what happened was it wasn't very televised. I don't even know all that many people that even know about it, but there was a Hockey Canada juniors trial
oh
over
no,
the
we
summer.
all know about it.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
It wasn't
I'm
televised
familiar.
near me at all, really. And that has affected a lot. Especially once the verdict came out, and I was just
Mhm.
like, of course. So I'm I was a Stars fan. I was a huge Dallas Stars fan.
Too bad.
Joe Pavelski, shout out, went to high school with my husband, and they're from the same town, and so we've always supported him. And then plus oh my God, why can't I think of his name right now? Tyler Seguin is like, huh, just to look
Yes.
at, right? Like I could just sit him down in a folding chair and watch him for 24 hours straight. But I'm finding a team. I'm it's kind of hard to find a team right now really that doesn't have any sort of connection to that trial in one way or another. I'm falling back on Penguins probably because the Penguins were who my husband was always a fan of before um we got into the Stars because we didn't like the Sharks when Joe played for the Sharks. But when he moved to the Stars, we were like, okay, Stars fans. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm in the market. I should be a Red Wings fan, but I'm not.
That's what I thought you were going to
Um,
say.
yeah, no, I'm a bad Michigander. I'm also not a Lions fan, so I guess I'm just shunned in the corner over here in Michigan. But go Packers. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I'm in and I might I really thought at some point this summer like that I would never even be able to watch hockey again. Like I couldn't even picture a hockey player in my head without feeling nauseous. And I'm like I said, I'm already like catching myself watching bits of the game when like I'm at a family member's house or something and it's on. So I don't know. By next year I might be a Stars fan again or I don't know. I don't know. I'm a Storm fan.
There you
Tell you
go.
that. I'll tell you that.
Me
And
too.
I bet you at some point in Jules' book, just as a coping mechanism, that someone will get like dragged through the mud for some bullshit like that. And there'll be a sprinkle of justice in there, even if it's like a throwaway
Yes.
line, this guy got kicked out of the league or something, because bullshit.
Yes, please do that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can at least give fictional justice.
Right?
And
That's,
Yeah.
you can
you
make
know,
fiction better than reality.
Yes.
yep. I know. That was actually a really big battle for me, and it's why I didn't write for so much this summer because it got to the point by like August that like, and I even hate saying this out loud. I'm so sorry to my readers for letting myself feel like this and to my characters for letting myself feel like this, but for a while it just felt like my books were bullshit, you know? Like all that justice and like it's all a lie, you know? I just got to that point where like I mean, I know that it's fiction, but it just everything I wrote and everything I was pouring my heart into felt like bullshit. And I'm thankfully have gotten like past that really dark thought process and it's not bullshit. And I like 100% am aware of like how much what I write affects people and it affects me and it like for myself selfishly alone, it's enough that like it's a coping mechanism for me. But for a while, yeah, this summer sucked. I was just like, screw everything for a while this summer, which I feel like a lot of people experienced and are still experiencing. So, but I've at least gotten to the place now where like I do see it in the correct way, where like it's a refuge from reality.
Yeah.
It is nice to see people getting justice, even if it's not always happening in the real world.
Right? Right? I
Yeah.
know. My husband was like, "You're just gonna have to get like gorier on the justice scenes," and I was like, "You
Yes.
know, I can do that." Oh, now that you mention it, that sounds great. Like Bryce's book is gonna be like a coping mechanism in itself. Like it's gonna be like,
Brace
"Hey, you
myself.
having a bad day and hating the world? Have you met Bryce Jacobson?" Yeah. No. I I feel this reminds me of the question about like actually why I think one of the questions was why I write MM. And I have a hard time like commenting on that discourse because like a lot of every perspective really has valid points, but um I feel so lucky to have found like such a safe and welcoming community in the MM community. I can't imagine. I've written two FM books. And I just like I'm not bashing FM writers or readers or that community at all. But I didn't find a good place in that community like the place I've found here. And I can't imagine being able to put so much of my like heart and soul in these books in a community that doesn't feel like as safe as this one. That just like came into my head as we were talking about all that. But like I'm really lucky to have found like all of you guys that are like just great. And then me. I'm not great, I promise. But
You're wonderful.
I'm good at
Are
pretending.
you great?
I'm a hot mess. I tell like all like you should have seen me trying to get ready for like Love in Toronto. I was like, I'm like an imposter. They're gonna figure it out. My husband was like, there's nothing for them to figure out. I saw it. You're the one that wrote the books. And I was like, Dad, are you sure? I'm starting
Yeah,
to
I really
blank
did
here.
that.
What's my name again? Like, I'm such, yeah, I'm such a hot mess.
No.
It's okay.
We're all hot messes.
Aren't
I'm a
we?
hot
I
mess.
know.
Yeah.
I actually
I
have
try
my
to
kids
remind
trained.
myself of that.
If I say Captain of the Hot Mess Express, my son goes toot toot.
I love
That's our
that.
thing. So
I love
Oh
you're
my
in good
gosh, I
company.
need to do
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Toot toot.
Toot toot. I love it.
Do you have any playlists or like soundtracks, or do you like listen to music
I do.
when you're
Yes.
writing? Yeah.
I should. I don't know if those are public, but I should post them. Some of them are
Yes,
like,
make them.
some of them are so long, and then some of them are like 2 songs that are just
It
like
doesn't matter. No.
Everyone will love
Like
them
the
anyway.
first thing I do when I'm like
Oh,
putting together a post for a book is like look and see if the author has a playlist and
I
like,
love that.
and then I'll
Yeah,
look through every
I've
single
noticed.
song.
Yeah, I've noticed some authors like putting the playlist at the start of their book, and that would be fun too.
Mhm.
I should even like in special editions or something. I should do that.
That's super fun.
I do have a playlist that is just like the survivors in general. So like if it reminds me of any of them, I'll add it to that playlist. And then for like when I
Oh,
work
I
on
need
their
that
book, I add
list.
it to their like particular playlist. That's gotten a little out of hand. Um,
You
I
do
also for
listen.
funsies, I'll also share I have a Bucky and Steve playlist
Oh.
for Bucky Barnes. It's mostly my brother pointed out to me we had a 7-hour car ride this past weekend, and my brother pointed out to me that it's more of a Bucky playlist with like Steve peeking in around the corner. And I was like, that's fair. And I was like, that's, it's Bucky.
Attract.
There's a like, I mean, Cap has like the national anthem. He doesn't need more of a playlist. Bucky deserves all the love.
Well, you solicited.
So,
We talked about playlists back in May on your Patreon.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then summer happened.
And then summer.
Yes. I have to make a note of that. Yes. On Patreon. We have to finish making their playlist. I have to finish posting their Instagram pages on Patreon
Yes.
too.
Yes.
I
I feel like I
have
need to get in on the
all
Patreon.
made.
Okay,
do.
I'm dying. I need to be on Patreon right now. Like
You
it's
need
Terrible.
to get
I
on
I
this
have
Well, if you
Patreon and I
sign
never
up-
check it.
If you sign up before tomorrow, you'll get the free Christmas ornament.
What?
Ooh.
From Patreon.
I'm in it. What? Hold
Are
on.
you?
I'm like,
You have
well,
to
I'm
be,
in
you have
it,
to
but
be
I don't
tier
know.
3 or above. That's like the merch
Oh,
tier.
I
send it for
usually
free.
join at the lowest one because I never check Patreon. Well, maybe I'll upgrade like right now while we're talking.
No
I'm
judgment.
definitely in
A
it.
lot of people have upgraded in the last like 48 hours, and I know that all of them will downgrade again, but whatever. That like $15 covers their ornament and shipping anyway, so it's all right. But yeah, it's so
I
cute.
have
It's
been on
another
tier
little
3
treat
for a long
Christmas.
Talk
time.
amongst
I
yourselves
know
while
you have.
not surprised me at all. And I mean, April, what other questions are
Yes.
there?
Yes.
Ooh, there was another
Question.
one. So we talked about how the characters kind of take over and detour a little bit, but someone asked, out of all of your books, like which one detoured the most from what you thought it would be?
Mason Beckett, that stubborn little shit.
I thought you
Just-
might go there. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Just that little brat. I mean, he's such a stubborn little sad boy. And I didn't, he wasn't supposed to be, but that's okay. I
Yeah.
love him anyway, right? I love him for him.
Yes.
It's
He
tier
was
3,
plotted.
right?
completely different. What?
I'm upgrading my membership
Okay,
right now.
yes, tier 3.
Tier 3, right? She said.
Oh my God.
Do
Yeah, I
not
was in tier
edit
1.
that. And do not edit that out.
Oh, I'm not editing that
No.
out.
Me
No.
upgrading my Patreon while I'm sitting here. You're all set. Your purchase is successful. Yes.
Perfect.
Lovely.
Yeah.
What else, April? What else should we ask?
I'm so scrolling because we already like answered a whole bunch without actually asking them.
We did, which is great.
Yeah.
No, Mason was just, and I put so much thought and effort into Mason because I knew that like people were gonna hate him, and so I needed to make him like this sympathetic character, and so I
You
had
need
all
an
these little, like
interior.
things I was gonna like work into his characterization, and I didn't use any of it. He was just like, actually, thank you so much for paying attention to me, Taylor. I have a laundry list of shit that I've been dealing with. And I was like, oh. And he was like, this. And he was like, I have like, self-care issues and like a little bit of self-harm is going on in here. And I was like, oh, why didn't you tell me sooner? Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I started, and then even then, like writing him with Nolan, and at first I was gonna try and have him and Nolan work on kink because I think like that's important. That's something for Nolan's story, like that I really wanted to stay true to, that like sometimes kink isn't something that you can let go of. Like sometimes that's such a coping mechanism for you that like, and what do you do with that, right? When you like find someone you're absolutely in love with and you can't get that. Like some people sacrifice that and that's okay. And some people don't and that's okay. And him and Mason were gonna like go through a lot of hard work and figure out like how to meet in the middle a little bit. Um and Mason was just absolutely not at all impressed with that idea. And I was like,
I never read anything like that either, where it just doesn't work, but they still
right?
love each other. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that was so like unique that you wrote it that way.
I'm glad. I'll give Mason the credit for that because I was just gonna, like make them work. But and I did, like, I'll give myself the credit. I do say this, like I don't push my characters. And sometimes like that ends up screwing me over because sometimes I don't know what they want, but what I'm trying to write them doing isn't working. And so I just have to step away for a while and I'll usually write something else. But like it feels like I'm crawling out of my skin when I try to write something that doesn't fit my character. And I know that makes me feel nuts. Like that probably makes me sound nuts because they're my character. Like that doesn't even,
Lots of authors are like, no,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. It makes me feel so much better that other authors say that because like that's just they just have they're their own person up in my head living. Like I joke that that's why I write my books because they like should have to pay rent. Like I'm gonna have to listen
gotta
to them
get
all
them
the
out.
time anyway. But yeah, Mason just wasn't interested and I wasn't interested in forcing it. And then I was like, now that you mention it, Hunter's been obsessed with you for a while and he's a dom. And I actually wrote like a short story first to kind of like test out their dynamic. I wrote the first scene that they actually end up doing in the book as a short story first, just for myself to see if it would work. And I was like, oh,
this works.
I was like, this will do. And then I was like, Mason, you're gonna regret this. And he was like, he was like in the corner.
This is what you wanted,
right?
Yeah. This
I
is
love
the life you chose.
I just did a couple of Kinktober short stories on my Patreon. I'm really not trying to bring up my Patreon that often.
That's okay. That's actually one of the
you
questions.
sold it.
Plug the
You
Patreon.
sold
like,
it.
give me more money. But
But
I
Lisa,
did just
there's
do a
one for
couple
Hope on the Patreon.
yes, there is Pope and Hayden have a quickie for Kinktober.
Okay, I'll have to. I don't even know how to get on Patreon. After this is over, Anne is going to explain it because Anne knows everything.
You will.
And I'll sign you up.
I love it.
Anne is well versed in Patreon.
Yes. So I've got a question that goes with that.
Oh,
I
have the. Oh, sorry. What?
I was going to say it just goes with that. Do you find it challenging to write intimacies? Because intimacy scenes, that's what the question was. So I just
Yeah.
went with what you were talking about.
Um, I do if I'm not in the mood for it. Like
That's just
sometimes
like real
the
life.
idea isn't, yeah, right? It is.
Oh, sorry.
But I do respect, like I said, I don't write my books in order because it's just not how my mind works or how my characters talk to me. So like if they're not feeling it, I will just make a note in the document that like, okay, time to have sex. And then like if something like
Sorry.
emotionally important, right? Like if a new kink needs to be developed or if like something emotionally important needs to happen, like one of them accidentally says I love you or like actually this reminds me when I was writing Stay way back when with Fitz and Owen, I believe it's a shower scene where Fitz afterwards like whispers like what are you doing to me and he doesn't realize that Owen hears it over the shower. And I could not write that shower scene to save my life. I was like, I just do not feel like having shower sex is hard enough in real life, let alone like writing it, you know? And so I remember just making a note that like he needed to say that line. And then I had to like that was one of the last things for the whole book I wrote was that shower sex scene because I was like, okay, like now I need to write it. So I'll just skip it. Honestly, the hardest thing I have with intimacy scenes is when I write kink, I'm sometimes I worry that I do too much lead up to it. Like eventually people reading my books will probably get sick of reading about like all the limits and the safe word talk and stuff like that, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to skip that stuff. So they'll just have to skim it eventually when they get tired of reading those sections. But otherwise, no, I don't have too much of a hard time with
I feel
those.
like it's important to put that in there though. Like
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like I really appreciated that about reading it. Like it made me feel better going into the
Mhm.
Good,
scene.
which is good. Yeah, I'm all for healthy dynamic, healthy
Hmm.
BDSM. Please, for the love of God. Like my introduction to BDSM was 50 Shades of Grey, and I would have loved for that not
As
to
it
have
was
been,
for many
right?
people.
It was, right? And like lucky for
I
me,
don't
like
think
I
I ever
figured
read
out that
it.
that was an incorrect representation, but
But you
yeah.
never know who's going to pick up your books. And like, it
Exactly.
might
Yeah.
be just that
Well, and
one. So,
I do feel like any of the DOMs I write too would be like appalled by me skipping it. Like, oh my God, if I would have skipped like those conversations in Hunter's book, Hunter would have been like, are you fucking kidding me? He would have been
I
like,
feel
sit
like
your ass
you might have been
down.
my introduction. I'm trying to think of like if I
Really?
really read any like other. I don't think I've really
Love
read any
that.
like
Like
well
actual,
done. Like I'm
yeah.
like, those like the
Like a
like
kink will pop up here or there or
right,
whatever.
but like
But yeah,
actual in depth, I think, yeah. So
I
there's
know. And I think
you are
that's,
my 50 Shades.
I love that. I'm so honored.
You did
No,
such a
and
good
I
job of
think
that in Solace.
especially with so many of them being survivors. Yeah, like with Solace and with Abel and I just feel like doing it right and healthy and like it's such a if you're part of that community in the real world, sorry, mom and grandma, if you're still listening to this, but you read my books too, so I don't know what you want from me. You guys are signing up yourselves, but like I'm a part of that community in the real world. And that's such like communication is such a huge thing in reality. And like it's like you don't get to have like the sexier moments without that because it's just not, it's like there's got to be a
Hmm.
foundation.
mhm.
And that bleeds into my books for sure. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess I don't, but no, I'll just skip it, I guess, if I'm having a hard time with an intimacy scene. I will say I'm having a hard time with Matt and Ace because Matt has the most hang-ups as anyone. And sometimes I just like want to dive in and they cock block me, kind of. I can't think of a better way to explain it. They're like, whoa there, slow down. And I'm
No,
like,
thank
oh,
you.
okay, sorry. I got more excited than you guys, and you're the ones that have to do it. I'll dial it
Like,
back.
no, I wrote it right here. It says you have to
Right?
do it now
Right?
Insert sex scene.
What do
on the
you
post-it.
Yeah, there are so many, like, it'll just be like a bracket, and then it'll be like sex. or like sexy times.
That's so funny.
Whatever. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Yeah. It's really, they run the show. They just run the show. It's like what is it? The patients run the asylum or whatever.
Yeah.
That's my head. Yeah. I put up a good fight until Mason, and then I was like, you know what? You guys are right. Like, I'm just a voyeur here. Just let me know when you get the chance. Just feel free to let me know what you'd like to do.
Worked out.
Okay, yeah, it does.
Yeah,
It
it
works.
definitely
I
worked
just
out.
keep buying the books,
Yeah.
so I won't complain. Yeah.
But the two that go together say like, what do you enjoy reading, and also like what writers influenced you and your style?
Oh man. Um, that's hard. I especially in like the last year or so, my safe place has been fan fiction. I've read very little actual books the last year. I'm such a fanfic girl. I'm such a Bucky Barnes fanfic girl. And that has influenced like a lot. Someone told me the other day, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So there's like for people who don't read Bucky fan fiction or like I whatever without having to give too much backstory, but there's these like particular sets of fics that are kind of based after Winter Soldier happens. So like for people who haven't watched Marvel, it's when like it's these two best friends ever since childhood and one of them gets like brainwashed and tortured for decades and then he like finally breaks the brainwashing and recognizes his other best friend who's magically still alive because science and magic and whatever and ice and there's some ice in there too. They both get frozen for a little bit. And so like after that happens, there's like this whole set of fics that are called like Avenger Tower fics, pretty much. And they're just like all of the Avengers and Bucky living in like Tony Stark's Avengers Tower, like getting up to shenanigans while Bucky like recovers. And like Bucky and Steve fall in love again or fall in love for the first time sometimes, or sometimes they don't even fall in love. And that's okay. I'll still read like 500,000 words of Bucky just like recovering. Like they're just recovery fan fictions of like some of the worst things imaginable as he's like working through his trauma, but then also like learning how to like make pancakes and like having costume
Love
parties
this.
and like movie marathons. And it's like this perfect mix of found family and trauma healing and like reading those was what let me be like, okay, I can like take my time and actually write like recovery stories that aren't just like hurry up and get to the romance. And so those have definitely influenced me as a writer. Plus I just love Bucky Barnes so much. So I read him like as often. I don't even know what it is about him. Like he's just like he's just this like he used to be like this happy little guy, like in the if you watch the first movie, he's like gets surprised by a sciencey thing. He's like, "Holy cow." And he's like wants to go off dancing and he's in his little like uniform and he's all like just this happy little guy and then like you see him again later and he's already like undergone his first round of torture and he's just this like sad boy. I have a thing for the sad boys, you know? He's
Oh.
like I just want to I remember the very first time well, I watched that movie. Spoilers if you haven't seen Marvel, but my husband is who got me into the Marvels movie, and I watched that movie, and I was so sad that he was like so different. Like he wasn't happy anymore. He was just this like sad little quiet guy that was like and then like he falls off the train and dies. And I like looked at my husband and I was so betrayed and he's like, just keep watching. And so we like got to Winter Soldier and you find out that's Bucky. And I remember looking over at him and I literally said out loud, he made so much fun of me for it. But I was like, I just want to wrap him up in a blanket and give him hot cocoa. Like, what do you mean I can't do that? And like
Yeah.
that's just like the aesthetic of most of my books, I feel like, is just wrapping them all up in blankets and giving them hot cocoa.
I love
And
this.
right?
You need to
Like,
put that on a
Mhm.
blurb on the back or something.
it's I've just
It
got
should
a
be like a
thing.
sweater. Like a
Give
Right?
them a
I should.
cardigan,
Like, yes, some
throw
merch.
blanket,
Just,
some soup.
I was
yes.
thinking you were just like Sam.
Have.
Taylor
When
McNiff
do they
Sad
give
Boy
each other
Club.
soup?
The Sad Boy Club. I just, yeah, I don't know what it is. I've always loved Bucky so much. I don't know.
I feel like
I
I need
think, well, and
to watch the movies now. You've
right,
convinced
you have
me.
to. They're so good.
Yeah.
I don't now I'm like psychoanalyzing myself. I don't know.
But this
I
is
How many
I
are
feel like
there?
I've always found it so interesting, like how his trauma changed him so drastically. And then like those recovery fix are always, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna have like this revelation. Like his recovery fix are always so focused on at first Steve is trying to get him to be like the old Bucky and then like realizing like that's not possible anymore and like having to navigate like this new version of himself and like this new like definition of happy. Like what is happy now? Because
Hmm.
I can still be happy, it's just not gonna look the same. And like I've always really liked reading that and writing that. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I guess I don't, I mean, wow, I'm having revelations.
On
Like I guess
camera. We're
that's
getting
what I
it.
went through, right? Like now that I'm thinking about it, my daughter points that out all the time. Like she hears childhood stories of me and she tells me all the time, like, that can't be you. Like you didn't like because I was so happy and carefree. And then like wasn't anymore. And now I'm like a completely different person. And like I saw like, oh my, yeah. Like and now that I'm saying this, like before I had my trauma, my dad came home from the war and he wasn't dad anymore, right? Like he was dad, but he wasn't like the same dad. And like that was so weird as a kid to like understand why. Like what,
Hmm.
what and I think that's like I remember actually wanting to understand that so badly that like I would go to the library because this was before Google and like I would read like articles about the war and like all this stuff because I was trying to like figure out what the hell? And then like I experienced it myself. And then I remember there's this short story. Oh my God, I'm way off topic now. I'm sorry. But there's this short story by John Steinbeck that I read in high school, called Why Soldiers Won't Talk. And I remember sitting there in Mr. Bradley's English class and I just started crying because it was like the first time that like someone had put words to like why dad was different and why I was different. It's a really good short story. It's super sad, but it's a really good short story. And like now that I'm thinking about it, like that's the same year I started like getting into Bucky Barnes fan fiction. And now that I'm sitting here, I am admitting that John Steinbeck and Bucky Barnes fanfic writers are most influential to
I love it.
I
I
love how
love
you've
it.
circled back
which I
though.
feel like
That's yeah.
My high school English teacher would either be like impressed or appalled by that.
It did
Oh,
start with Steinbeck. It just
yeah.
It did.
Sure.
It started with Steinbeck. So like, and then it just took like a very quick pop culture queer spin, but that's okay.
I
I
like it.
also like to read TJ Klune as a side note. As I'm thinking of like
Yeah.
contemporary TJ Klune, I can read the Wolf Song series and listen to those audiobooks like 4 times a year. I love those. Um,
I can't read them without hearing them in the audio version in my head.
yes,
Yes, yes. That
absolutely.
voice, the
Yes.
voice is so
Yes.
His
distinctive. I can
audiobooks
hear
are
it.
Yeah.
so good. So impressive. And it's so impressive how he does so many Because it's the same narrator. It's Kurt Graves.
Yes, but
The
he
whole
has
series to be
completely
so
different
different.
voices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
His
it's very
female voices
impressive.
are good.
Yes,
I
and he just like
I
brings them to life. I can just like so I'm gonna reward myself actually. I have to write a bunch in November of this book because I have to get it out. Like Taylor, you have to finish this book. But starting with the trip up to the UP for Thanksgiving, I'm gonna reward myself with my re-listen of the Green Creek series, and I'm just so excited. Like I can't wait.
I
Gavin,
decried that series with bringing Jordan into my life. So
really?
yes.
that
I
is
love that.
that was
Our bonding
our
experience. Yeah.
bonding.
Gavin from Brother Song is another sad boy that I just want to wrap up
Oh,
my blanket and give
yeah.
Coco. He
I
can
love
be he can join Bucky and Mason's Sad Boy Club. I'll make them t-shirts
definitely.
Yes.
and hot cocoa and soup. I
Hot
love it.
cocoa and soup. Yes.
Yes. I'm forgetting so many other like contemporary writers. I've I read more than fan fiction, I promise. I'm just blanking right
Okay,
now.
you're talking about
That's,
like influence and stuff, and I feel like that was a really good
Which
answer for that.
yeah, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
gonna have to post off to the side like fanfic rec list, I feel like.
That would be good.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
And then I will first watch the movies so I understand
yes,
and then
that
read them.
Watch
that
the
would help.
movies.
I was just like, there's
Because
a
I can
bunch of
totally
books in my
afford
library that are
a
rewritten
new
Stucky Fix. So,
I love
isn't
that.
isn't the
yeah.
Scottish boy,
The Scottish Boy is.
Is
which I
it?
love.
Have you
Oh
read
my
it?
I
gosh, I
I
love.
have
have.
not.
Oh
I'm
my
writing
gosh,
it
it's
down right
so
now.
good.
Oh my gosh, I love
It's
that so
so
much.
good. No, and it's like it's obviously, yeah, but it's historical.
But see, it
Right?
wasn't obvious to me because I
It was
didn't
obvious to
I
know.
me.
mean,
It's okay.
somebody
It's
told me before I read it.
someone
That
asked me
makes
once
sense.
if Safe was a rewritten Destiel fan fiction
Who?
because I like Dean and Castiel from Supernatural
Okay, yeah.
because that's I used to write their fan fiction first. That was like my intro into the fanfic world. And I was like, no, it isn't. And I was like, that's so weird. And they started like pointing out all the similarities, and I was like, fuck me. I was like, okay. So like it's not a rewritten fic, it's like original, but like apparently I just decided to do a ton of characterization. That was Dean and Cass. I was like, wow, yeah, so like green eyes and freckles and flannels and blue eyes with like the curly black hair, and then like Dean's
You're like, I see it.
sponsor for his
Right
like
now,
AA meetings
that's
is named Charlie, and the guy that like runs his AA meetings is named Bobby. And I was like, I'll just go walk off a cliff now. I didn't mean to do that. I promise.
funny.
But whatever,
Oh,
right? Influences all over the place, I guess.
Hmm.
oh, it's too funny.
Oh,
We need to have a Marvel movie marathon because, like, I
Oh
think
yeah.
Thunderbolts is like my
yeah.
favorite one now.
I love Marvel movie marathons. I love the newest movie, Thunderbolts.
Amazing.
So good. It is so good. It is like it's one of my books. Like on a movie. It's like I
Yeah.
mean not as dark, but I mean
Did you
not
write
really.
the
Like
scripts? Like,
I wish, right? Like the mental health representation and the
yeah,
found family, and it was so good. It
it's
hit all the spots.
good.
That movie probably like did 50% of the work of carrying me through this summer. That was such a good movie.
Oh.
It's
That's like
great.
it's like a warm hug.
It is. Everyone
Bob
gets
is another sad boy for the sad boy clubs. I'm just collecting them.
Just little sets.
I should get a donation box. Like submit your sad boy.
Donate
Fund
to
the
the sad.
us.
Oh
April,
man.
did we get them all?
I think I'm trying to
Because we
see
combined
if
them.
I feel like we hit on
We've jumped
At
all
least
over.
touched
like
on them.
yes, a lot of them without like straight out asking.
What about special editions?
That's what I was just about to
Oh,
say.
Ooh, yes. Special edition.
New
Um,
cover, yes.
Tell us.
uh, there's one that may or may not be floating out there that some people may or may not have identified from a mystery box that I cannot confirm or deny. Um,
That I may have ran to.
I was gonna say, how many of those
know
did you
about this? I feel
order,
like I
Anne?
know.
And how many have you ordered?
You can only get one of those.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
not, I mean,
Give
I'm
her
not
time, give her
apologizing
time.
because it's not mine. I'm not admitting to anything. Um, if that were to be if that were to be mine in that mystery box, though, that will not be the only one. I do have something else sort of in the works for the Monstrous
Ooh.
trilogy. Um, Breakaway is going to be coming out with a special edition cover soon. I do all of my covers myself, so I really just need to finish
Can you
it.
tell us what it looks like?
Yes, it's
you could show us.
I could
edit
show
that
you.
out.
Do you have it? Ah!
I do. It's and
Totally
so
edited out.
my daughter will never forgive me because one day she'll be old enough to watch this and she'll be upset if I don't mention that she helped. She came up
Aw.
she came up with the idea for the like team's logo is a circle and it's gonna be the O on like my name, Taylor McNiff.
Oh, I
And she
love
thinks
that.
it's just the coolest thing. And it actually is pretty cool. So I'll give her that credit. Watch, I'm not gonna
It's
be
really
able to find
cute.
it fast enough, right? But it's like a sunset. Oh, I actually have stuff for Matt and Ace's cover too. A little bit. Um uh somewhere on my Canva. It's like a background of a guy skating at like sunset
Ugh,
across like a pond.
I'm buying it. I don't even. You don't have to say anything else. Everything.
So it's
Sold.
kind of it's this background, but like extended. And then
Oh,
it's
yay.
It's so much better. Oh, sorry.
it is. It's okay. It's and then it's edited in purples. And then that's like
Ooh.
and then there's like kind of like an ice over it. So that's like really in the background. And then the cover has like a shirtless guy with a ball cap hanging like looped on his belt. Um, with the number 14 on it for Pope. I'm I'm gonna
It's
have
also
to
my
go.
son's hockey number. I do just need to point that out.
Oh, it was my basketball number.
I mean, it probably won't be next year.
The
He's
number.
5. But
Well, I mean,
yeah.
right? Um, and then this is well, it's a really hot mess because I was just like copying and pasting different shapes and stuff that I think will look cool. Um, but covering the title because I promised patrons that I would do a title reveal. This is Matt and Ace's
Oh,
cover.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
it looks
it.
so
So it's like
cool.
Yeah, I
deep
love it.
blues and indigos because the
Yes.
motif of their book is blues music.
I love that.
Music in general, but especially blues music. So
That's awesome.
those are on the horizon.
I'm
And do plan on doing, I don't think I could keep up with doing like a special edition for every book signing, but I think I'm going to start doing like a yearly special edition for signings. So like anyone
Oh,
that
that's
attends
cool.
like a 2026 signing, any one of them will have access to it, but I can't decide yet which book it would be.
What are your
We'll put like
2026
a
signings?
poll up or something. So far, I'll be back in Love in Toronto.
woohoo. Sorry.
Well, now I
I'm
have to
so
go
excited. That
again.
was so much
I
fun and it
know.
went so well for like being its first time. Like
That was a
it,
really, really good signing.
it was so great. And I won't have a husband and a daughter this time, so I'll be able to do
Ooh.
more,
we're
let
gonna
loose a
take you
little more.
out.
Right?
Meet us at the bar.
That. Yes. And then I'm going to be at Queer in the Middle in
Oh,
that
fun.
June. Yeah.
Anne,
So
are
I'm
you going to that?
to
Same.
chant.
Why two names? Like, why Taylor McNiff and TJ Hamill? Like, I was just curious. Maybe the
No,
people
yeah,
are.
that's fair. So kind of for two reasons. First of all, like Taylor McNiff, I wrote my first two FM books under that name. And then Huck and Fitz get introduced in those books. And so I decided like I really liked them because side characters just won't stay in their lane. And so I was like, I'm going to give them books and then I'll probably go back to FM. And so I figured I would just keep those ones in Taylor McNiff. And then when I got the idea for the Monstrous Deed series, I was like, well, should that just be like my MM pen name? And then just like the Kallenberg series will be like the random MM ones under Taylor McNiff. And so I was, and then the more I was writing the first Monstrous Deeds book, the more I was thinking like a lot of the people, like even though they're both MM readers, I was starting to worry that like a lot of the people who loved Safe so much weren't gonna like Monstrous Deeds because like consent was so blurry in Monstrous Deeds. And I was really worried that like because Safe got so much love for like how Ollie was treated as a survivor that I was worried that like people are gonna be like, what the hell? So like between those two, I was like maybe it would be a good idea to do a pen name instead. And then like within like a year and a half, 2 years, people were like, "Are you also?" And I was like, or like I would see them get like recommended together so often. And like at one point, I was just, well, and then it became this thing in my family where like for some reason, just to be an asshole one day, I told my mom and sister I wasn't going to tell them my pen name. And it like spiraled as family things do sometimes, right? Where like there was no reason for it to be kept a secret from them, but it drove them so nuts that I would like refuse to tell them my pen name, and my husband was like sworn to secrecy. There was one night my mom's a nurse and she was like on shift with her friends and she was like looking through all these different like writers and reading snippets to see if she could like figure out the pen name. And then one day I was just like I just I had a Facebook I had like my Facebook profile and then Taylor McNiff author Facebook and then TJ Hamill Facebook. And I was trying to do all the Facebooks. And then someone was like, you need an Instagram. And I was like, do I?
No.
But I need an Instagram for both. And it just got to the point where I was like, I can't, it wasn't sustainable. And so I just like texted my mom and sister out of the blue a link to like these Monstrous Deeds. And I was like, by the way, this is me. And they were like, why'd you decide to tell us? And I was like, because it was giving me a headache. Sorry. And so now I'm going through the headache of merging them, of course. But eventually I will. There's still people out there though that don't know that I'm both. So I always find that.
Which one are you going to keep, or which one are you merging into?
You know, I was gonna merge into Taylor McNiff. Now you bring that up. And that's why Breakaway is written under Taylor McNiff.
Hmm.
Um, because that just I don't felt easier. But now as my sister is getting, or not my sister, oh my God. As my daughter is getting older, I'm starting to wonder if I should do TJ Hamill instead. Um, just because I've already had so far one like parent of a friend of hers be a little weird about like the books I write, which like I don't really want her to be friends with someone whose parent is gonna be weird about that stuff anyway. But how do you tell a 10-year-old that, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, my daughter can't keep a secret to save her life. So she'll just tell them all anyway, no
Yeah.
matter what name I go with. So like I'm 99% sure I'll probably just segue back into Taylor McNiff. But I will always put like probably for the rest of my life in there that at some point I wrote like as TJ Hamill and I wrote these books as TJ Hamill. I feel like there'll just never be a point where like everyone has realized that, and I might as well
I
just
think I've seen that before, like writing
yeah
Taylor McNiff writing as TJ Hamill or something like that.
yeah
Didn't
but
Timothy
definitely
Janofsky just do that?
Who?
Is it Timothy Janofsky or
Oh,
something?
really? I didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know he did that.
He
no
just
Because he
just
has a
put
new
out,
one.
yeah, he just has a new one. He put it out on like Insta today.
With a different name.
He's got a second name.
I don't even, what's his, how do I?
Yeah, what is
Ja-
this? Because
Well,
now I'm
I
like,
sa-
do
I
I know
shared
him?
it.
and we're all making notes.
Wait, I'm gonna find it because I shared it. Here we go. Here we go. He's writing as TJ Sky.
Oh,
And
see,
what kind of is it?
Dark
Is it a
romance.
different dark romance? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Slash Fiction is the name of the book.
Oh.
And
Okay.
I have a
When
hard
Villain
time
Calls.
picturing a dark romance.
I'm sending it to you.
Right? I have a
Yes.
hard time picturing
I'm just gonna
That
send
me
it to the
ever
group.
writing something fluffy
There we go. You can all see it. There it
one
goes.
day.
Yeah, I
But
feel
yeah.
like, you know what? Let's just stick with the sometimes funny and laughable moments amongst the
Yeah,
not
right?
so
Those are
fluffy. I
fun.
think that works. I think that works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I just don't think I have it in me. I try.
That's okay.
I blame it on them, actually. You know what? No, if they're gonna run my asylum, I blame it on them. I try to give them
Right?
fluffy stories.
You did
And they're
you
like,
did what you
actually,
could.
we're deeply traumatized.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean, Taylor?
Let's
We live in your
make
head.
this
You want
worse.
us to be fluffy people?
I'm really excited for the Christmas.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
because
I'm
I want to
excited about
see
the Christmas.
I am too. It's you've met one of the MCs if you've read Breakaway. He is
Okay.
he's
Which one?
Noah, the brother
Lisa
that
leaves
Hayden
so
goes on like a not really date with at the bar.
Oh,
They
yeah,
hang
yeah,
out,
yeah.
Pope,
He's the
and Pope is
military
like, "Oh my
guy.
God, you're so excited! I love you."
His sister is the like she does PR and stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
And then he's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
like, yeah. Oh, I liked him because
Yes, I like him too. Yes. That's what I was actually telling my husband about him and like this fluffy. And I was like, so he's like gonna be, he's still in the military in that book, but like he'll be a veteran. And like that's when he like looked at me and he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, no, no, no. And he was like, no, no, I know you. And I was like, no. And then I was like trying to defend myself and I was like telling him more and more about him. And I was like, just kidding. I'm just gonna be quiet
it's like
because
next
he's fucked
year.
up too. I'm hoping so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to get it out this year. I almost put Matt and Ace's book on hold and just like pushed it out that last like the last like 20%, 15% that needs to be written for it. But then I was worried I wouldn't get to Matt and Ace's book until like at least spring and I thought that like people might show up with like pitchforks and torches, which is fair. So they're waiting a year. But maybe I'll post some chapters for this Christmas
Patreon.
on
On your Patreon.
Right.
my Patreon.
What's funny is one of the questions says, "Don't forget to like talk about Patreon."
Right? I definitely didn't forget.
No.
I've got some plug on there. Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
And
I
Facebook.
upgraded while we were talking,
Yeah.
so
Very important.
There's a
Re-
brand new spicy threesome art on Patreon.
Oh, is it on there? Hold on, let me
Mhm.
just
Yes, it is. It
All right.
is.
Well, now I
like
gotta
who?
go
Is
look.
it really?
Talk amongst yourselves.
I
Oh,
posted it yesterday, I think, and
Yeah.
my
oh, where
daughter
I
wanted.
lost the video. I'm just
Oh,
on your
you're okay.
Patreon now.
You're
Oh,